Corn School on RealAgriculture.com is brought to you by BASF and Pride Seeds.
Hi, I'm Bernard Tobin. Welcome to the Corn School. Today I'm in Perth County, catching up with Olivia Noorenberghe from Pride Seeds. How you doing?
Good. How are you, Bern?
I'm doing well, and I'm doing a little better than this cornfield because I know we've got some corn rootworm in here, and I want to talk about how to manage this pest. Been around a long time, but I guess we're seeing a little bit of a comeback, a little bit more of a challenge these days.
Yeah, it's been a pest that has affected, the U.S. corn belt for years. I would say the resurgence kind of in Ontario, or where it really came into play, is kind of around that 2019-2020 time frame. And definitely in the area that I cover for work, which is basically, a heavy livestock area. There's lots of corn on corn. There's definitely been some corn rootworm issues in the past couple of years.
Yeah, now we're going to take a walk through this field. Olivia, take us through it. What are the symptoms? What are we seeing in this field?
So typically when I get calls from growers, it's usually around that July time frame, and that's when they're actually, getting out and spraying maybe a fungicide and looking at their corn and seeing how things are doing. And yeah, that's typically when I get the call, and what they're really noticing is actually goose-necking and some lodging in their corn. And so why that happens is because of the corn rootworm life cycle. It starts off as larvae in that, May and June time frame, and it's feeding on the roots, and it's kind of doing some root pruning. And so basically, let's say that we get a storm in July, high winds or something like that, the corn is not able to anchor itself to the soil, and so that's when you'll kind of have it fall over maybe a little bit, and then it's trying to grow back up to the sunlight. So that's where you get that goose-necking. So that's one strong indication that there is some corn rootworm injury.
Now, Olivia, typically I've always thought, corn rootworm was all about corn on corn. We were following corn after corn, and obviously that gives the pest a leg up. But that's changing. We're seeing a lot more of the pest overwintering.
Yeah, typically when we switch into a rotation, that will help combat the pest, but we're actually seeing some populations are adapting, and so we'll actually see some what's called extended diapause now. And so let's say that we're switching to soybeans or something after our corn, and then we go back into corn the year after. The extended diapause, basically those populations can overwinter for a year, or stay dormant for a year, I guess is the proper term, and then come back the second year and then be a problem as well. So that's another issue that we're encountering. What
about soil type here? I know that makes a difference.
Yeah, so a lot of the soil type that they really like is some of those, loamier, heavier soils. So I've done some trapping on some sandier soils, and there was actually a field, and it was corn on corn for like 17 years, but they don't seem to like those sandy soils. We put some traps in the field trying to get an idea of what the beetle pressure was with those adults, and didn't see nearly the impact that we do on some of those heavier clays or loamy productive soils.
Well, let's talk about how we tackle this pest. First thing comes to my mind is insecticides and seed treatments. Where are we on that?
So insecticides and seed treatments, I know there are a few people who are using soil applied insecticides on their planter. Finding a planter that has the soil insecticide boxes on it can be maybe difficult. And really, if we're using insecticides like that, we're kind of just kicking the can down the road. Resistance can develop to those as well. We're continuing to work with some partners in the chemical industry to look at seed treatment options that are approved in Canada. Yep. So we continue to work with people on that. So in the next coming years, you might see something that is approved in Canada, but we're continuing to do research on that. And right now there's not really a approved option yet.
And the big go-to obviously has been traits in recent years. Where are we there? I know, let's talk a little bit about resistance, because we've had some resistance and that's brought about new traits.
Yes. So I would say the reason why this has been such a problem pest is the resistance that has developed to certain BT traits. And so we actually have some new traits on the market, such as VT4 Pro or Smart Stacks Pro. And so those actually introduce a new mode of action through RNAi technology that will help be an important tool in the toolbox to try and combat some of these pests. So obviously rotation is key, but then also if we know that we have some high rootworm pressure, we're in a problem area where we've maybe seen it before, utilizing some of those traits becomes an important part of the puzzle.
Final question for you. Hey, we're going to roll in here pretty soon with a combine. What should growers be thinking about as they start getting into harvest this fall?
Yeah, so I think recognizing and setting the expectation for that crop. Obviously, we're going to see some yield losses potentially, depending on the severity of the root clipping, because, you know, that can be a problem with uptake of moisture, uptake of nutrients. So this corn crop might not be what we expect it to be with that damage. So setting our expectations, knowing where we stand and making a plan for next year, I think is key. If we know that we have a problem field, rotation, obviously, and then also if we can't rotate, because there are a lot of instances where livestock farmers rely on corn for their animals, trying to use some of those new traits that are options.
What about farmers who actually get into the field and don't know they have rootworm? What should they be looking for?
Yeah, I think if you are harvesting or you have a custom guy who's harvesting, you'll know whether you have corn rootworm based off of once you're in the combine, you will be able to kind of see that lodging and goosenecking of the plant, and that can be kind of messy for harvest, but I think you'll have a good idea of whether you have it or not based off of once you get in the machine and start rolling.
Well, great stuff, Olivia. Hey, thanks for hanging out with me in the rain. It started to rain right in the middle of the shoot. Appreciate your insights on corn rootworm.
Thank you very much for having me.